This week, we're excited to be joined by Eduardo Buján, the team coordinator at Audi AG, whose impressive journey in the automotive industry is nothing short of inspiring. From his early entry into the field to his significant achievements and leadership in fostering teamwork, Eduardo has made a lasting impact on one of the most dynamic sectors in the world. In this episode, we explore his career milestones, his thoughts on the disruptions and emerging trends that are reshaping the automotive landscape, and why pursuing a career in this space offers endless opportunities for innovation and growth.
Hi, Eduardo, and welcome to the Techne Connect podcast. Would you like to give me a quick introduction to yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Elliot. My name is Eduardo Buján. I'm currently team coordinator at Audi for verification of releases of software updates. I'm 45 years old and living in Germany, working for Audi at the moment.
That's great. So who are you outside of work and what do you enjoy?
I have two kids, teenager, which at that age demands a bit more time, and a younger kid, an 8-year-old. We are living in Bavaria, here in southern Germany. We enjoy a lot of holidays in Spain. So basically every chance we have to fly to Spain, we spend it there. My family originally was from Spain, born and raised in Argentina. And did my studies in Spain. Our first kid was born there, so we have a home and we spend a lot of time holidays as much as we can in Spain, and we like it there. So bike riding, holidays, kids, taking care of them, and that's the regular time outside of the office.
That's great. So what are your passions? What are you passionate about, and what would you say your hobbies are?
So before family, it was playing football, super lucky, and I always was a Formula One fan. So I spent lots of my younger days at the racetrack, volunteering or working there as marshal, whatever was available. So until recently, it was football and Formula One as a hobby. So all sorts of car racing and playing football with friends. Nowadays it's more restricted. The activity is deemed as a bit risky to be at the racetrack, and I'm not that young anymore, but we still have fun watching races or going to play football with the kids.
Yeah, absolutely. As we're watching this, or as we're recording this, we're going through to the round of 16 of the Euros. Who's your money on so far, or who you supporting? Is it Spain or?
Yeah, it's Spain, and also we enjoyed a lot the matches. Spain is playing really, really well, so the kids are the Spanish one, the one that was born in Spain. He's very Spanish fan, so we go for Spain. Germany is also in the background with the other ones, but the matches of Spain are really they're playing really well.
They are playing really well. So Germany are, to be fair, as well. But yeah. So what is your education? How did it all start then?
So I studied electronics engineering, and I ended up in Spain also doing industrial engineering, always in electronics. So it was always in that direction. Engineering in electronics, and it was always also a hobby, let's say, to do electronics as when I was young, gadgets, all sorts of gadgets and programming and software and firmware. So it was always heading in that direction for me.
Why the automotive industry then? What led you to develop a career in this space?
So the start for me, I mean, initially was not automotive, but I started doing software firmware development for automation systems, watering systems that were automated with remote stations and such. So that was matching my what I like to do. So electronics and software, like low-level software. And beyond there, it just went in different directions. I got the chance to join, after the studies, international project for Samsung and in Spain now, but it was headquartered in obviously Samsung is from Korea, and it was all driven from Korea and then Europe. So it was really an international project working with HQ in Korea and the management in UK, and we were doing certifications so the field certification for the new phones to be released on the market. And I was offered also the chance to be team lead there, having a small team, setting up all the operations in Spain, because basically there was nothing. We were like an external unit embedded into the Spanish headquarters. Yeah, super, super interesting. It was disruption. It's a word that will come up because I literally saw it in every step of the way, and this was the first one. So when I joined, Nokia was totally the number one, and the iPhone had just came up, and Samsung was, I think, number 7, so it was nowhere. And in 2 years, basically, they turned into number one. It was a massive disruption where we passed in 1 year from phones with a keyboard to touch, and tablets and Android. So I saw that happening real time, and it was for me the first lesson. Like, wow, how fast things can change.
Yes, yeah.
Still nothing to do with automotive, but it was very enlightening in terms of that huge change in 2-3 years, and also the Android and all these new topics coming up. And then of course cars, Formula One, cars, everything was also an interest of mine, but I was still far from it until in 2008, 2009 came the crisis, the worldwide crisis, and in Spain it hit also very hard. And we decided, or I decided to, I want to do more R&D. I want to do automotive, and the only way to get into R&D and automotive was outside of Spain for me. And I took an opportunity to join Valeo in Ireland, in the west of Ireland. And that was my first entry into automotive.
Fantastic. Was there a reason for you taking a career into the automotive? Was the financial crisis maybe something that you looked into, or was it just you seen a job and you applied for it sort of thing, or how did it all end up happening?
Several things came together. The crisis was really, really hard in Spain, and at the time we were in Madrid. We were having a baby, and everything turned, really not looking great, but also in terms of, for me, technology and going into more, not just verification. So all the development at Samsung was happening in Asia. So there was nothing in Spain beyond certifying, and life became also quite expensive. And the life there was very nice. We liked it a lot, but it was living in a big city, in an apartment, having a young kid. We were used to more dreams of having a house or more independence, and also on my side to have more towards R&D, truly R&D. And Ireland, I mean, ticked all the boxes. You cannot have more green and more space. Totally the opposite of Madrid. So we thought, wow, what an opportunity. And the job itself also, I got a really good impression from the Irish folks at Valeo. And the job was, a dream for me. It was basically to work in ADAS with camera systems. So smart cameras, ECUs for 360 degrees. So at the time it was cutting edge. Object detection and all this kind of stuff with really powerful SoCs and ECUs. And I took the chance.
I thought fantastic. So from Valeo then, how did you end up at Audi in the position you're in now?
Well, it was not a direct way. I learned a lot at Valeo so the goal there was to head in more into SPICE and systems engineering. So they had a lot of well-done systems at all the premium OEMs. So it was really, really premium market. But there were a lot of tough overheads on the development process and how to really structure the software and ECUs to run all these algorithms and vision software in parallel. So I was brought in to put in order, let's say, the system requirements and all the requirements part and architecture into more proper allocation and such. And at the time we were running obviously with all the German OEMs. So that was the first link, let's say, to Germany. all our main customers were the premium OEMs. Yeah, we learned that we were having issues with so many algorithms and image smartness running in parallel. So I ended up setting up a profiling tool to see what was going on, and that was very, very useful. And we figured out a way to, hey, this is what's happening. Yeah, every function is running fine on its own, but once you merge them together in a use case, or cross traffic detection with pedestrian detection and all these things in parallel, were eating up all the resources on the CPU. Yeah, it was super interesting. And of course, all this meant a lot of travel to Germany and a lot of interaction with the German engineers here. I really liked it. I was always very goal-oriented and tried to be efficient, like with this situation with the algorithms. And in Germany, that's part of their DNA. Yeah, so we, up to a point, we started discussing with my wife, hey, all these trips to Germany, flying from Ireland was really, that was not a good point, on the West Coast, and driving to Dublin and flying somewhere and then somewhere in Germany. So very, very long trips. Came up an opportunity to join Harman. So we were doing a bit of interaction also with the HMI and the infotainment system. And when that opportunity came up, we discussed it together. My wife was also fond of having another experience, and especially in Germany, because we both liked it when we were visiting. And I joined Harman to do, let's say their area was infotainment, same customers, so nothing really changing for me in terms of the customer and the approach, but the product was totally different. It was premium again segment for infotainment and audio systems. And through that journey, then the Audi link became more evident. I was working on Audi projects.
What are the key achievements that you would highlight in your career?
For me, it was always about learning, and learning as much as possible. I ended up, not intentionally, but learning a lot about embedded systems and ADAS, and then infotainment, and then at Harman, everything leads to the next. So at Harman at the time, they wanted me to bring in some of the ADAS functions into the head unit. So with that also came topics like functional safety. So then, they asked me to start with those projects, and we started setting up was basically the first functional safety. Ended up being an organization at Harman, and I was bringing all that know-how from my side. And we started with the head units also having functional safety as requirement. So everything came together. So it was good, or a key element was to learn about all these things, or having the chance to be in contact with all these things. And then at that point, it all came together. Very powerful infotainment units with some ADAS functions, with HMI for autonomous driving, with functional safety, and working with Audi. Audi had the same challenges, right? It was a big infotainment department with no know-how on functional safety. And functional safety, it has to be done from ground up. So it meant also the SOCs and all the software and the requirements had to be there. It's not that you can plug it into the head unit and it's done. At the time, Samsung had acquired Harman as well, so I was helping on that front. And when Audi knocked on the door and asked basically, would you like to help us out on this side as well? I thought, that this is the end of the line for me. It's the dream come true, working truly at the OEM side. And we were able to accomplish that. So from my side, I see a project going from start at Harman to end at Audi, and having the car on the street with an autonomous driving cockpit ready ECU.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great answer. I think Audi is obviously a massive, massive company within the automotive industry, isn't it? So congratulations on that. And secondly, a lot of engineers that I speak to, or managers that I speak to like yourself, always say that one of the proudest achievements is when they see the final product on the road or on the street. So I think that's great again. Have you accomplished something that was extremely difficult then, or that hasn't been done in the industry before? I think you've mentioned it, you touched on it a few times.
I would say the example here with the cockpit ECU, it's always team effort. Yeah, I'm always usually the driving force. That's a good thing or a bad thing for those who suffer me, but a good thing for those who in the end, okay, see the result. So I was definitely the driving force behind this, but we're able to get, first of all, management support, which is great. Without them, I could not have achieved it because of all the steps you need to go through. And also being able to have the right guys at the side. So from the functional safety colleagues to the engineering team at Audi. You cannot do it on your own. It's that you bring the force or the energy, but you really need the people around you. Yeah, and that's definitely 100% right. And I think that part of the feeling of having this ECU or this car on the street with that little part of you and your colleagues.
Yes, absolutely. I think just to back up your point about obviously the managers and the teams and stuff like that, I think the industry is built up on people-to-people connection, isn't it? So the teams that are, from the software teams to the hardware to systems, functional safety, cybersecurity, everything that is involved, it's a massive group effort that for pretty much every project that goes on, isn't it? So it's a really good thing that the whole team effort, it has to happen in this industry, doesn't it? So over to you then. So, this part of the podcast gives you an opportunity to discuss a topic in the industry that you're passionate about and will be unique to your podcast. So, for example, people have used women in tech before, remote hybrid working, work-life balance. What is it that you'd like to talk about?
The main thing that I have in my mind, even more nowadays, is this disruption phase. So
yes.
I saw it with the phones. It looked unbelievable that Nokia would be run out of business and that, non-existent players would in 2 years come up. And this is happening again on the automotive industry. And I see this thing play out before and I see it now. It's not the same, but it's possible that things can really, really change in 1 year to the next. So now with electric vehicles and the different technologies for powertrain, I think, I would not stick to any single one of them. So what I learned, at least in my career, is to be open. And I think that the amount of knowledge that you require nowadays in a car, which is a huge IT infrastructure, from software perspective.
Yeah.
With so many ECUs, so much bandwidth, things going up and down in real time, remote work, all these online technologies that we, let's say, became masters or more experienced at during COVID. Helped a lot. In my opinion, this is a big topic, and especially many factors. So from China to US to the different markets, to cover everything nowadays from a single point, it's really, really hard. These markets are becoming really competitive and really personalized and demanding, and you need the local know-how, not just the technical one, and cultures. Also, again, was luckily a thing I got from working with Koreans, loving their approach also, and in Ireland, totally different culture. Germany, again, different culture, Spain, and then your mind opens up to these things. And
yes,
I think remote work, hybrid work, online work, in my opinion, it's something that nowadays technology company cannot live without. And it eases up a lot of doors opening up.
Absolutely. I think I don't think we'd be sat here recording this podcast if we didn't have remote working. To be honest, I think that the industry would be it'd be in a worse position. Definitely, it's invaluable the fact that we can have somebody working from the UK to Germany, or from Romania to the US. For example, it's great for the industry.
I think that exactly what you said, and these disruption times are really challenging. So having all doors open, having access to more talent, having access to know-how of culture, of what works in Asia, what doesn't work in Europe, regulations. It's so much to cover, that different time zones, that I think this is an interesting point. And also work-life balance, because all these different time zones and workloads, being stuck in an office would not be possible, if you need to really run a project in China.
100%. What have you learned over your career then?
The main thing, in my opinion, is, of course, to be open to learning in every area. Anything that you learn will help. For me, I had the chance to live in different countries and with really different cultures, and that also helps a lot to understand different point of views and how to communicate them. But the key item that I had chance to face, first with the phones and with ADAS and then the infotainment software update, is change, the fast change of things, and to be really open to, again, it sounds simple, but you make your planning, you have your state of mind on doing something, on working on something in a way, and then in a couple of months, 6 months, a year, you realize, well, that's all gone down the drain. You need to start again, or you need to really shift the focus totally in a different direction. And this sounds simple, but it's hard to assimilate.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I learned it the hard way. If I could change something, it would be really to know that this could happen. But at the time, it looked impossible that with the mobile phones, that things would change in 2 years or in 1 year. But it's a learning experience. So be open to change your own ideas, and be open to learn from anything, from a chat with the production guy. I had the chance to be invited by Porsche to, we're on the same group, we were working on the same project, and I had a great time with the people there as well in Stuttgart, and had the chance to be invited there to the motorsport division and to have a run at the test track. And for me, it was also racing cars. It was a dream, but I learned, the guy giving us the tour, let's say, was a mature guy with, I don't know, 40 years, maybe more, experience at Porsche. So how he knew every corner there, and dedication put into to the racing cars, to the detail. So this is not a CEO or someone really important. It's a guy that, let's say, raced at Porsche, and the guys there as well, and at Audi is the same. So having the chance to learn from anyone the most unexpected things, and not just your area, but every area, sales, marketing. That's a key thing.
I think I'd like to go back to the point you made about continuously having to be open to the chance of change all the time in this industry. I think that with the projects being, anywhere from a year to sort of 5, 6, 7 years, the chance of that project after 6 months, after 8 months, after a year, completely changing in the industry is massive, isn't it? So I think that's a very good point again. So if you could go back to the start of your career then, with all the knowledge that you have now, what advice would you give yourself?
I would. I think I would tell myself, hey, keep doing what you're doing, but be more open. And again, it's easy to say, but hard to transmit. That even if you're totally convinced of something, for sure, keep doing it. You're convinced of it, but I would tell myself, keep the door open to apply the same conviction in another direction, because things change and really fast, and nowadays it even applies more. So I would be advising myself to even be more open than I was. But the rest, it's good advice to advise to anyone to try to live, if possible, abroad, and to really live not just holidays, but really learn the ins and outs of different cultures. That really helps out with the opening. If that wouldn't have happened for me, I don't think I would be this,
No, absolutely.
that flexible. Yeah.
Absolutely. And touching on a similar point there. So is there anything you would have done differently in your career?
No, I mean, I think the only item, it's also this thing about living abroad and moving to different countries. When you're young, it's easier. When you're younger, then comes family, and then it could be a burden, and for sure it's a stressful thing also. But at the same time, I tell myself, hey, the two kids, they really speak three languages as their mother tongue.
Yeah,
My son, we moved out of Ireland, and he was still talking with the Irish T's and the Irish accent. And and the other one is 8, and he speaks 3 languages, and he watches TV in 3 languages. So to me, it's giving them also the language thing that they learn so quickly as young, but also it gave them this open mind. So like with the Euro Cup, right? They cheer for Spain, but they also work with Germany or with Argentina and the World Cup, and it's all pretty much, they don't see a tremendous political or some other difference that adults might see, and it brings many good things as well.
Yeah, I mean, speaking 3 languages is an amazing feat, especially at 8 years old. So really, really congratulations to your kids as well. That's really, really some achievement. If you could look to the future then, which would be a great skill, are there any areas across the technical spectrum that you would recommend specializing in?
Yeah, I mean, technically, again, disruption time, so it means risks, but it means tons of opportunities. And I think that in automotive, you can pick your poison, let's say. Obviously, the big hype now is software-defined vehicle, AI, such topics. But to be more specific, I think behind the buzzwords, let's say, or the technology names, software is king. But not just software and developing and that's it, but also the architecture. And as I said, a car nowadays or our cars are like a big infrastructure of computers interconnected and having to exchange tons of information to the driver, to the car, from the street to the car, to the network, in every direction. So if you can have as much experience as you can in different areas, that's the best thing, in my opinion, you can do. Because if you're into cars or if you're into automotive, nowadays everything is an option. So before it was very easy. You had to study mechanical engineering and maybe some electrics and then some electronics. But nowadays you can study IT and work in automotive. Autonomous driving the same. So it's all about big amounts of software and architecture. And when I mean architecture, I mean it's still a car, right? It needs to run safely, real-time processing. So it's not just entertainment. So architecture in the sense of like IT and financial, for example. So like real-time execution of data and planning a well-designed system. Yeah, everything that goes in those areas. Of course, if you're into mechanics or batteries and electric drivetrains, of course, that's also obviously there. But what I mean is you don't need to necessarily prepare yourself for the classical automotive, but you can also study IT and software and work in automotive.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I do see, or I've spoke to a few people that have come from other industries that, aren't necessarily relevant to automotive, but the skill set's transferable, isn't it, across a lot of different industries?
Yeah, it will always be beneficial to have the automotive experience, but I think that you can learn, if you have like a really good design mind or open mind. So moving away from the technical, I'm not sure nowadays if the technical is important, but it's also important, especially in these days with, again, sorry for the repeating disruption, but
no problem.
Everything changes really fast. So you need to be, it's a skill also, really open to anything is possible. Yeah. This week might be one topic, next week 180 degrees, or next month we don't know. 1 year it's tough to plan. That's like really long term now. So be open to learn, and be open to change, and to accept that what was good yesterday might not be good anymore. Yeah.
Is there anything? Obviously, we keep coming up on this disruption thing. Then, so what do you think it is that's currently impacting the sector? Sorry, what is the disruption?
I think is that the market is really unclear in terms of customer expectations, legal requirements, technology. So there are many challenges. Electric vehicles, autonomous driving. Okay, my topic is nowadays I switched to software updates, and this is really the scale of things is so big, and one decision affects the next one, right? If you have an electric car, obviously the amount of battery power, the use cases are different to a combustion or a hybrid. And then how do you run system functions or software updates? It changes as well, right? Safety, there are tons of new use cases and situations that come up lately. So it's really hard to pinpoint. It's not like we have one disruption, it's a bunch of them. And they are not set in stone, right? Not just speaking for Audi, I'm speaking about the industry in general. We see how many EV companies were supposed to be the new kings and having tremendous stock value and projections, but then all the value disappeared, and some of them are bankrupt or going in that direction. So again, that changed in 1 year. So it's very, very interesting times, in my opinion.
It is. No, it is. But when we do come out of this, what do you think is the next, what's the next big thing then? What's up and coming?
I think that the topic of, in my opinion, autonomous driving will still be a topic. And I think that also the user interaction. So before it was, basically there was a screen. If there was a screen, right, then there was a larger screen on the HMI.
Yeah.
But nowadays we have different displays and totally new concepts on the car and what the user expects, and putting together all these things between vehicle functions and user expectations, like interaction with your smartphone to have the same features in the car, easing them up, interconnectivity, all these things about user interactions, cockpit design. I think, in my opinion, they are changing, but they will change even more.
Why should people choose a career in automotive then? What is it that you think the reason why people should choose a career in the space?
Used to be a very classical industry.
Yep.
You either like cars or you would not go into automotive, because it was a car with classical expectations of a car. How fast does it brake? How fast it accelerates? How well built it is? That was it. But nowadays, anyone, I think, that likes cars or not, but they like computer design, programming, software, sales, design, marketing, quality. So an automotive company nowadays, it's so huge with so many topics, IT systems, back-end systems. So pretty much anything, I think, if you're into engineering, right, and you like topics that are not in your mind directly related to automotive, if you look a bit into it, you will find out that it's really also related to automotive. So I think it's many areas are opening up in automotive. So if you're into those kind of things, and on top you also like cars, I think it's a very interesting area.
Yes, absolutely. Great. So that's the end of the podcast. Thanks very much for being a part of it. It's been fantastic to have you on, and some really good answers and some really good topics, conversation that we've just discussed. So thank you very much for being a part of the incentive behind the podcast.
Thanks to you, Elliot, as well, and thanks for the questions. It gives a chance to also reflect on some of the topics, and I hope it helps. Yeah,
absolutely.
Who are thinking into getting into automotive.
Absolutely. Thanks very much again.